Recording in progress.
All right, everyone, we'll begin with questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. And we'll start with Bella.
Hey Laura, thanks for the time today. Obviously the team has scored a lot of late goals this season. Your team, not Orlando, though they've scored their fair share. Also, against Racing Louisville, it was a bit of not a problem, but you probably wanted to score more than in just the last 2 minutes and not have to come back so late. Does the team have a plan to sort of start more on the front foot this week and not find themselves clawing back to a tie at the end of the game?
No, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's a plan. I would say it's something that we would always try to do. I think that's something that when we start well and we do start on the front foot, it tends to reflect in our performance, in our results. So is there ever a specific plan to make sure that happens every single game? Is what we would want that to be. I think it's hard to put in perspective how difficult it is for one team to come off the back of travel and a game within 2 days, and the other team to not have to deal with that is something that you can't put stats to it to show why it's impactful, but it truly is. And the fact that it was such an early game for us, but for their time zone it's not an early game. For me, we didn't help ourselves in how the game was scheduled. So I think does coming on the East Coast and playing in whatever we trained in today, 90 plus heat, make that difficult to start on the front foot? Maybe, but I think it is always something that we want to try and do.
Thanks, Bella. And then Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Laura. Building on that, though, your team came back late. This was a lineup that you prepared for over the course of months. This was similar to the Club America that you've done in Cup play. And here this particular lineup was, it hadn't a lot of, and they still managed to come back. What does that speak to the mentality and the approach that you've had on the season?
Yeah, I think, we've been very purposeful in how we've prepared for this period. I think you always want to try and prepare as best you can the players who don't start every game to make sure that they understand the roles required for when they do either come on in games or get their opportunity to start. And I think what this group is showing is that they've taken that responsibility on. They've been accountable for that, and I think that means we have a chance of being competitive in this period, which we always know it with this club. It's tradition that we are up there with the most amount of players going to any World Cup at any time. So the challenge that brings is that you have to have depth and you have to have a roster that's willing to take that burden on when these players aren't here. And the good thing about this group is they don't see it as a burden. They see it as true opportunity, and they're taking it, which I think shows a lot about this group and shows the mentality of the group for sure.
Thanks, Jeff. And then Susie, go ahead.
Yeah, Laura, it seems like you're sort of approaching your road trip against Orlando at a similar time as you did last year, where they're sort of clicking, starting to figure things out. They had a really good performance, obviously, against the Spirit last week, and I'm just wondering what kind of threats do you think that Orlando presents?
Yeah, I said to the group this week, I think this is the best Orlando team I've seen. With their full squad, I think it's the best team that they've had, and they have threats in multiple areas on the field. They have pace higher up the field. They're willing to move the ball around at pace, and they press and they make it really difficult for the opponent. So I think we have to be prepared for that. And you're right, I think it's exactly the same as last year, really, where we're on a decent little run of form, results-wise. and they've probably put in arguably their best performance of the season last week against Washington. So we come in knowing that, and we come in knowing that the game's going to be tough. I think the big thing for us is to make sure that we don't give them anything. I think back to last year, and we sort of gave them their goal a little bit, and then we were on the back foot and we had to sort of fight our way back into it again. I think that's something that we want to avoid, because when we're chasing the game, the work rate and the effort has to be even higher than what it is when you're winning. So yeah, always a difficult environment to play in. But I do think that this team that they have right now is a real threat.
Thanks, Susie, and then Stephen.
Laura, I wanted to ask generally how's team fitness doing coming into this game? You have a kind of a long break after this before your following game, and how that's kind of shaping up for how you're preparing for this game. And then
I would say the break is coming at just the right time for us. We're definitely going to be wrapping a few people up and hoping for the best tomorrow. We've played a lot of games in a short period of time since. To think the amount of games we've played since the end of March is crazy. So we have a couple of people that we're still not sure if they're going to be available tomorrow or not. But again, we know that we've brought everybody with us. Everyone that's available to the available on the roster is here in Orlando. And one of the reasons for that is because we've got a lot of question marks over some of our players on whether they can play or not. I think playing 3 games in a week, 2 of which were on different types of turf, was challenging. So we're hoping that we can push through for tomorrow and come here with, our aim is to come here and get a result, but obviously on top of that try and come out of here injury free too.
And just to follow up on a related question, Jess was named to the Wales team for their game against the United States on Sunday. I know she was talking about playing in both games. I don't know if you had a chance to talk with her about whether or not that's crazy, and I know trying to get her to not do something is not the easiest, so I don't know what your thoughts are on that in general.
Honestly, the conversations we've had with Wales have been, we don't mind if Jess takes part in the game. We get it. It's a cool opportunity for them and for her. But we need to get through the game on Friday first and then make decisions off the back of that. So she's happy with that. They were happy with that. So it made sense to do it that way. So we'll see how she feels tomorrow and then make decisions on what her involvement, if any, will be in the game. We hope that it will be she feels good and she can do a little bit. It may be that she's not quite ready to go back to back so quickly. So we're just literally playing every day as it comes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. And it looks like that's it for questions. Thanks, Laura. Thanks. Everyone.